This may sound very simple, but this is really the essence and of my being and I think my success. Sign stars. Don't try to dust bums off. Bums will always be bums. If you find a star, sign them. Stars are like needles in the haystack. You see, I try to explain to people I'm not a star maker, I'm a star finder. And that's what I do for a living.
I met a new act that I have now, which is a female group, a solo female, Asia. I met her in front of my office going in. She wanted to speak to me. So I stopped, and, you always have to stop and listen. Never get too big where you can't hear a new act. So I stopped, I listened. She impressed me. I set up an appointment for her to come to the office. And then we went from there to the studio, and I signed her. It was that simple.
Well, the first thing that happens is there's usually somebody that's passionate about the artist and the artist's music. Sometimes it's the head of the company, sometimes it's an A&R person. The A&R person, depending on the company, has to, in effect, lobby a number of people sometimes to make sure that the act gets signed. That could be the head of the label, that could be the chairman of the label, that could be the head of A&R.
They're so hard to find, and they're so full of problems, and they're usually all twisted up and confused people, and usually lots of pains associated with it, because some of the greatest art is associated with pain, and communicating that pain and finding relief from that pain, and that's where the best art's coming from. And if you get in the record business, this is how you get rich, is you sign stars.
Well, the Police had a very strong image. The three of us had dyed blonde hair. We're reasonably attractive males. And being a three-piece has a kind of magic to it. We could all play. And so our image and our music definitely helped us. We also coincided with the beginning of MTV, if you like, the video age, and we were kind of tailored for that thing, because we'd had experience of doing it in England, where it was a brand new thing in America. And the rest is history.
Bands kind of have to they have to do it on instinct, but they have to do it in a way. Even, Pearl Jam, that kind of non-dressed up look is a look. Whatever it is, there's got to be an image, because music is not just a sound, it's an atmosphere, and musicians are not just a faceless person as it is in classical music. For kids, music is image, and the idea of the guy who's doing it is almost as important as the music itself.
Image is very important. Image is 50% of what people will see in the video, so you have to look good, you have to work out, you have to keep yourself up to par, because when people are looking on TV, they don't want to see nobody out of shape, out of breath. They want to see you perform for them.
Well, the image is important to me. I work with stars. When I think of stars, I think of Kid Rock, I think of Biff Naked, I think of the Corrs, I think of Sugar Ray, Matchbox 20. All these people are identifiable. They walk in a restaurant, people turn their heads, they go, wow. If they don't know who it is, they go, who's that? So I do think it's important to present yourself as a star. The first impression that almost all consumers get, or that the vast majority of consumers get, is from radio. Most likely your song will be on the radio before it's exposed through video or press or mediums like that. So the most important thing is the music. But let me just say also that if you have an image that's working for you, that, then by all means, put it front and center on the front of the CD.
If you want to go to another level, it's like you think about it with Cisco. Cisco has separated, himself from any other R&B singer. Whether it's the changing of his hair, whether it's when Michael wore one glove, he wore two gloves. Whether it's his dance steps, he consistently wants to separate himself. If you're an artist that sounds like everybody else, you might have a hit record here, but where you're going to be tomorrow. Image has a lot to do with it when you're talking about the different levels of success. Gold artists, platinum artists, double platinum artists, and so on.
People should pay attention to their image prior to getting the deal because that's part of the whole package. The only thing is that a lot of people don't know what their image is. They just know that they know how to rap. So that's where your management comes in. That's where the marketing people that you're paying come in. Your friends, your family, they'll look at you and say, look, I mean, do you look good bummy or do you look good in a suit? Are the people feeling you? You go out and test yourself. You do shows prior to that to see what the response from the people, what the response is from the people so that you could better enhance your image prior to getting a deal, which would make it a little easier for you to get a deal.
For me, to have an individuality is very important in this business. It's what attracts me to people. And I like to deal with people who are somewhat different, not so generic. And that always attracts me to people.
If they're not lucky to be dropped dead gorgeous, energy. It's energy. You know, Mick Jagger was probably not the greatest looking guy on the planet, but you see the Rolling Stones, they were amazing. Let's think of something new. Eddie Vedder with Pearl Jam. I mean, they weren't the best looking guys, any of those guys with the grunge movement, but the energy and the power and the political motivation in their music transcended anything that was cosmetic.
I think if you watch MTV, you see everything. If you watch any video channel, you see anything. I think that it's really fundamentally based on how good your song is. If I were talking to Britney Spears as a kid, or to a major rock band, I would always say one thing: get your songs as good as you can possibly get them, because that's the game. Yeah, you get by a few years if you look like Britney Spears, you know, that's fine. But she also makes good records now, and she's really growing as a performer. And the ones that don't will fail, and they'll be on Where Are They Now, whatever that show is.
The police has often been congratulated on the cogency, the focus of its image. 3 blonde heads, kind of a look. We actually, I promise you, never thought about it within the band, although it was very good for us that we did. If we had talked about, okay, today we'll have this kind of look, it probably would have been fake. So the image for us meant that we would get on certain radio stations, that we would, well, in the beginning, the look of the band, the singles, all we had was a single, with a picture of us in the front looking hostile, was enough to get us into the punk rack in the stores in England, which very quickly realized that punk records were just selling out. It didn't matter what the group was. They weren't getting any radio play. But if it was a punk group, it would sell. So initially, we were able to sell our records just off the picture of the group.
There are so many ups and so many downs. The ups are great, the downs are horrible. And it happens not only when you're starting out, it happens during the whole of your career. You just have to be willing to know before you set out that there are going to be these bleak moments and these euphoric moments, and it's never going to change. Because, you know, you can't be number one. Everything can't be successful in any business.
I always look like rejection is the flip side of success.
Anybody who has any kind of ambition for any kind of artistic things should go for it. I mean, they should. If you want to be an actor or an actress or a musician or an artist or a painter or whatever it is, if you have that in your blood and you truly want to become that in your life, I don't think that anyone can discourage you from. You may even get to the point where you feel like you've just tried so hard and you can't do it anymore and you're just going to stop. And I know that every true musician that I've ever met, whether they got signed or not, was not able to give it up.
It's just important to understand that whoever's telling you have to judge the messenger also. You know, if you're in hip hop and you're going up in the corporate office, you're bound to have someone tell you, I don't understand that. So I think it's just a matter of, knowing who you are and seeking out the person that best fits what you're doing.
We sit in a lot of offices, man. Me and this guy named Kuda Love, who I'm signed to his production company, 4 Real Entertainment. We sit there, man, and They play Country Grammar. They play Ride With Me. Ride With Me, the third single that we're releasing was another song that we had already had. And we sit there, man, and they listen, and they be like, no, this ain't it, or we're not ready. Big labels. Not big labels. And they just basically passed on us. And, you know, that point right there, that kind of, your self-esteem gets real tested right there when you're sitting in a lot of these offices right there, and you get the head nods and you know they're not feeling it. You know, and it's really hard for rap, because you're sitting here, me, this young black kid out of St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this old white man, and I'm like, he doesn't even know what the hell I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Or he doesn't really feel where I'm trying to come from, or what it is he's listening to.
My advice for people that get rejected is, let me see, how can I explain this? I hear that the guy that's supposed to be the biggest thing in sports and television ratings and billboards all over the world was rejected from his basketball team. And this guy is Michael Jordan, and he went out for varsity and got cut. So I always say to people, you know, whatever gave Mike that attitude to win all those championships and become the person and take this basketball sport to the level he took it to, it had to stop from rejection.
You be like, is this what they go through? Then you get tested again. At that point, a lot of people quit. Then I'd be like, no, he just didn't know what he was talking about. You know, because once you come to find out that all music is someone's opinion. When someone gets signed, it's someone's opinion. It's someone saying, well, I think he's hot, I'm going to take this chance, or I don't think he's hot. It's just someone's opinion. It's the same as you go outside your front door and somebody say what you got on don't look right to them. That's all it is. It's just they in power that they can put your record out. That's it. But it's still their opinion, so don't take it personal.
For a new band, it's very tough. It's a very, very tough business. And unless you've got the determination and the stamina, this business isn't for you. You've got to always keep that burning ambition. You've got to learn to take rejection. Because if you can't, this business isn't for you. You have to take rejection, knockbacks, you know, a great deal of comment. It's like you could get 10 people in a room and play them a song, and everybody's got a different opinion, and you just have to be, you know, strong and stick by what you believe. But you have to have endurance.
Don't stop.